Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday, whether it's Saturday evening or Saturday afternoon for you. I have been so looking forward to these reading sprints this afternoon. Flick Foster, hi, welcome here. Scott and Becky, yay, yay. Luby's Lot, hello. First time on one of these. Yeah, last week was my first time too. It's very, very exciting. Donna, hello, yay. So I can't even believe that we're already almost halfway done March Mystery Madness. This month has been going by so fast, and yet I have been having so much fun. I've been reading really great books, and hi, Becky. And just been having so many great conversations with people in the comments, in videos, and over on Discord. Hey, Matt, the Paperback Junkie is here too. Nice to see you. So this time we're going to do a very similar schedule to what we did last time. So we'll chat for about 10 minutes, and then we'll do a reading sprint for 20 minutes, and then we'll rinse and repeat. So if that's okay with you, that's what we're going to do. I've got my stack of books here. I'll show you what I have to choose from for reading this afternoon. I just started Patricia Wentworth's run. Now, she wrote the Silver Mysteries, but this is a standalone. This is from 1944, I think. No, 1938. And it's a standalone where one guy gets thrown into a situation and he has no idea what's going on. And so far, so good. He is driving at night through fog and, of course, gets himself lost. And that's where I am so far. I've also been reading The Perplexing Theft of the Jewel in the Crown by Vaseem Khan. This is the second in his Baby Ganesh Agency Investigates series. I love this series. Inspector Chopra in this book has now opened his detective agency, and it's set in Mumbai. And so they have an exhibition of the crown jewels that is heavily, heavily guarded, and everybody is searched and has to go through metal detectors to get into this exhibition. And Chopra goes with his wife, and while they're in the room, they even only let 20 people in the room at a time to view the exhibit. And while they're in the room, some like gas bombs go off or whatever, and the crown gets stolen. And so fascinating, like, how did they steal it? And then they got out. So even though it was heavily, heavily guarded by an elite force, somehow they got the crown out of the museum before it got locked down. So really interesting so far. Are you talking about the title of The Perplexing Theft of the Jewel in the Crown, Becky? Yeah, I like titles like that too. All right, Flick is just setting up a little reading nook. Nice. I love that. I love little reading nooks. Donna, oh, you're halfway through. Oh, the first book in his new series, Midnight at Malabar House. I am super excited about it, and I never pre-order books, but I've pre-ordered that book. It's set in India in 1950, and the main character is the first female police detective. So I'm really excited about that. How are you enjoying it, Donna? Is it good so far? Robin loves reading and all the things. Hi, welcome here. Glad to have ya. She's feisty. Oh, that's good. I love a good feisty character. I also have as a possibility The Mystery of Mrs. Christie by Marie Benedict. I'm reading this for Jane at the Sampler Girl. This is the book for this month for her book club. Carolyn, hello. Welcome here. I'm also reading Full Dark House by Christopher Fowler. This is the very first in his Peculiar Crimes Unit series, which I've read a whole bunch of, but not this one. And I love this series. It's very, very entertaining. I also have my Mammoth, which is vintage mystery and detective stories. I'm in the middle of The Ghost of Fountain Lane by Catherine Purkis, which I'm really enjoying. That one features a lady detective, as they say. Her name is Brooke Lovelace. Lovelace or Loveday? Loveday. Brooke Loveday. So yeah, so I might be reading from this too. Paperback Junkie. Zoe loved what, Matt? Are you talking about Robin loves reading and all the things? She's reading reissues by Leslie Kelly. Oh. And then you're reading The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Is he the one who wrote The Silent Patient? I read that. That was interesting. Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye Loves Books. Welcome. She's in the middle of 3 different live streams right now. That's impressive, Elizabeth. Carolyn wants to know what I think of Full Dark House. Yeah. It's funny because I've actually kind of like almost stopped like myself from reading it for a while because I know what it's about. I don't know how it ends. And so because I read so many other books in the series and I really love the characters, the what happens in this first book is sad to me. And so I've been like stopping myself from reading it because I didn't want to read it. Full Dark House. Oh, Zoe loved Full Dark House. Has she read others in the series, Matt? It's such a great series. They're so quirky. And yeah, I love them. Shannon Riddler, hi. There's another live that too right now, Translate-a-thon. Oh yeah. Cool. So I thought we could chat for another few minutes and then we'll do a 20-minute sprint. Carolyn, she's just started the second Cherringham novella. Oh yes, she's listening to those in audio. She's got them in a bind up, which is great, like 4 novellas in one, which is great. Now, I'm still learning how all of this works with live. So I'm going to test. I think I should be able to put certain comments on the screen. So I'm going to test with yours, Carolyn, if that's okay. If I was told if I double click on the comment, it would appear on the screen, but that's not happening. No, I don't know how to do it. If anyone knows how to use it, how to do that, I'm not on a phone or anything. I'm doing this from my laptop, so I'm not sure how that works. Wow, Robin is also reading War and Peace. Whew, 50 pages a day, so you're 50% done. If you're reading 50 pages a day, how long is it going to take you to read that? Because that's what, like, it's over 1,000 pages, isn't it? War and Peace? Good for you. I haven't read that yet. I've read Anna Karenina, but not War and Peace. You're on your 102nd book of the year, Robin. That is really impressive. Nice. So I'm just streaming in studio, in the YouTube studio. So is StreamYard different? I don't know how to use StreamYard. Oh yeah. Shannon's version of War and Peace was 1,350 pages. Yeah, that's long. Okay. It's nice to be able to read mammoth books like that with a group of people on a schedule so that you can chat about it as you're reading it. Like, I think that would totally motivate you to keep going for sure. I'm going to have to look into the StreamYard thing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how to do StreamYard. I'm just right on YouTube Studio. Anyway, so in about 15 seconds, it'll be Yeah, it's 10 after 1 now. So if you guys are all set, we could do a reading sprint right away, or do you want to keep chatting for a bit? Carolyn, of course, you can listen to audio for reading sprints. That's totally fine. Not a problem. Books in every room. Welcome here. All right. Well, I say let's just get right into it and let's sprint. I think that I might start with Run by Patricia Wentworth. I was intrigued by the first few pages I read here, so I'm going to do the first sprint with this book. I will set the timer for 20 minutes, and let's start now. Helen, nice to see you here. Woohoo! We're just in like 3 minutes into our first reading sprint, but I'm glad that you're here. Ooh. So he's run his car off the road in the fog and has wandered until he's come upon a house. And he goes up the steps and finds the door is standing a hand's breadth open. Ooh. Donna, hello, Donna from the studio in the library. Welcome here. We're just in the middle of our first reading sprint, but I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, this book is awesome. So the house is completely dark. He can't see anything because it's nighttime and the fog. And he has his little flashlight, his torch, and he the door is already open. So he goes in and he's flashing the torch around. And on the stairs, it comes upon the face of a girl. And she just starts running, and she runs out of the house, and then she turns back for him, and she says, "Run." It's awesome. So, chapter 2. He doesn't listen to her. He stops and asks why he should be running, and then someone takes a shot at them from inside the house. Oh, this is great. All right, there is the timer. All right, how did your reading go with the first sprint? I am loving this book. Has anybody else read Patricia Wentworth? I have a whole bunch of her books, but this is the first one that I've actually read. So she's a contemporary of Dorothy L. Sayers, Agatha Christie, and I really like it. I like her writing style. It's very crisp, at least in this book. And the dialogue is great. So this conversation between the girl that he meets in the house and the main character, his name is James, and she's saying to him that she was born an orphan, and he says, "You can't be born an orphan." "Oh, but I was, truly, absolutely, because my father was killed in the war and my mother died when I was born. But if that is being born an orphan, I don't know what is." This with some earnestness. Then, resuming the monotone, "Ruthless relations brought me up. The Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children prosecuted the godmother who had me christened Aspidistra. That was her name, Aspidistra. But what was the good of sending her to penal servitude for 7 years? I'd got the name for life. It isn't even as if you could shorten it. Assy? Dissy? I'd rather be a whole Aspidistra any day." That's awesome. Oh, all right. So Robin loves reading and things. She's on her Kindle. Nice. Ooh, Luby's Lot, 24 pages. Nice. Well done. Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures. Welcome here. Yay. I'm so glad that you're here. She missed this first sprint, but she's going to join us for the second one. Yay, Berna. Becky is reading Snow White Red-Handed. Oh, I've never heard of that. Carolyn loves Patricia Wentworth. That's good to know. I really want to read some of her Miss Silver mysteries. J.E. Crow, nice to see you. You haven't read Wentworth either. Yeah, I think she's kind of like one of those unsung heroes of the golden age. Books in every room. She's read. Helen. Well, Helen, have fun, and we'll see you when you come back. That's great. Yeah, Flick Aspidistra sounds like an epic name. It is. And her full name is Aspidistra Aspinall. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Oh, and Flick Foster's reading some fantasy. Very good. Of course, you don't have to read mysteries just because it's March Mystery Madness. You can read whatever you want. Ooh, J.E. Crow is reading The Daughter of Time by Josephine Tey. Is that a first time for you, or is it a reread? That is such a good book. I love it. Books in every room. Patricia Wentworth. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. And like she has a pretty long running series of her Miss Silver mysteries. Miss Silver is a retired governess who solves mysteries. So she's kind of like a Miss Marple character. Oh, Donna. Donna's made some tea and she's got 25 pages read. Excellent. Oh, Carolyn hasn't read Patricia Wentworth, but a friend of hers on BookTube has. All right, I see. Scott is reading Death on Tap by Ellie Alexander. Is that the one where it's set in a pub or brewery or something? I've heard of that series. Alliteration, rock on. Yeah. Aspidistra Aspinall. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so I thought it might be fun if I asked a few almost like rapid fire questions. I had a few ideas here. So, do you tend to read series or standalones? What do you tend to read actually, no, I'll say, what do you prefer? Do you prefer series or standalones in the books that you read? I don't even know how to answer that question because I have currently a bazillion series on the go, so clearly I like series, but I also read an awful lot of standalones as well, so I'm not sure how to answer that. Ooh, Berna's going to be reading Who Killed Zebedee by Wilkie Collins in the second sprint. I'm just finishing Berna. I'm just finishing The Ghost of Fountain Lane, and then I'll be reading that one. I'm looking forward to it because I love Wilkie Collins. Becky reads series. Robin. Robin is a series fanatic, and she has a spreadsheet tracking multiple surgeries. Do you mean series? And then she does series reviews on her channel. I just saw you posted a video about a series review. I can't remember which one it was, and I've been meaning to watch it. I haven't watched it yet. Donna from Studio in the Library likes both. Berna prefers series in mysteries. Yeah, I can see that. J.E. Crew as well. Books in Every Room likes both. Donna likes both. Scott prefers standalones. Shannon definitely reads more series. See, now that's what's interesting because I thought it's interesting to say, do you prefer series or standalones? But then to look back and think and figure out, but do you actually read more series or more standalones? So that's kind of the second part to that question. Do you actually read more series or standalones? Carolyn, mysteries. Yeah, with mysteries, almost always series. That's because it's fairly rare to have a standalone book that's a mystery. There are so many series in mysteries, that's for sure. Luby's Lot, it's a difficult question. I know it is, but they say series probably. Probably more standalones, Luby's Lot. Yeah. Books in Every Room, probably series. Flick Foster prefers series but reads more standalones. It's interesting, right? Yeah, once you actually start thinking about it. Donna gets bored if it's long. And I often get bored too, and I will give up on a series because I've just had enough. And sometimes it's because there's some ongoing feature in the series that drives me crazy. So a perfect example of that is Janet Ivanovich's Stephanie Plum series. I like the series, I like the characters, and I find them very, very funny. But the whole does she love Joe or does she love Ranger, that whole triangle is driving me absolutely crazy, and I could, I don't want to know about it anymore. But then again, you've got other series too. Like some series are super, super long. Like who is it? JD Robb does that In Death series, and isn't it like over 50 books now? Like it's so long. Like at some point the author gets formulaic and it can feel just like they're redoing the stories over and over again. I love it when I can find short series. I have a few in my collection that are like 5 or 6 books in a series, and then the author is done and they move on to something else. That's my sweet spot, I think, in a series. Robin loves reading and all the things. Both, because she's a reviewer. Oh, yeah. I get that. Berna, almost the same number. Scott, more standalones, but because it's every genre, you read more genre. Yeah. The love triangle drives you nuts too, J.E. Grout. Yeah, I know. Just pick already, or else dump them both. If you don't know who you love by now, then maybe you don't love either one of them. Yeah. Donna from Studio in the Library is in a lot of series. Yeah, and then like it's hard to keep track of if you're caught up with the series or if you're really far behind. I get that. Yeah. And Donna, if a mystery series is set in a small town, it becomes unbelievable if it goes on for too long. Too many murders in a small place. It's totally true. And that's exactly why, say, on Murder She Wrote, because she lives in a really small town, that's why they had her traveling so much. And then partway through the series, she moves to New York because it's just not realistic to have so many murders in a small town, for sure. Yeah. Becky says love triangles are the devil. Oh, that's funny. Donna from the studio in the library started the In Death series last year. She started with volume 50. Oh, wow. So you just jumped right in at volume 50. That's interesting. And you're okay with that? I mean, really, I guess you could read them standalone. It's just the history and the relationships between the characters that you might miss some of. Yeah. Shannon has read the longest series has been 13 books. 13 books is not bad. That's a pretty reasonable amount in a series for sure. Flick Foster. Oh yeah, Small Town Murder. The contrast of the eccentric locals and the small town feel with grisly stuff. Yeah, that's totally true. And in the end, I'm going to suspend my disbelief anyway because it's a story, it's a book. And so, I mean, how much of anything that we read, especially in mysteries, is realistic anyway, right? Like it's a story. So, yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, and Carolyn from Carolyn's Reading Ramblings is bringing up Midsummer Murders, which it's true. Midsummer Murders, those are all small towns, but it's a long-running TV series that it's kind of like a county, so there's a whole bunch of villages. So it's rather than a million murders happening in one small town, it's happening in a small area, but multiple towns, and that's totally true. I love Midsummer Murders, by the way. I'm a fan. Wow, Robin loves reading and all the things. So she's a reviewer, and she just said that when she gets a title for a review, she gets any previous books in the series and reads them and reviews them first. That is dedication, Robin. Wow, good for you. Wow. Carolyn's longest running series so far is Poirot. Yeah, there's a lot of Poirot books for sure. Becky also loves Midsummer Murders. Nice. So, oh, Flick Foster, you live near Oxfordshire? And you're right. Even in the whole county, there still wouldn't be that many murders. That's right. But that's why we suspend our disbelief and go along with it because it's so fun. Luby's Lot. In our house, we call it Midsummer Massacres. The body counts can get quite high at times. That's totally true because often in a show, it's not even one murder. Sometimes it's two or three in one show. So yeah, Midsummer Massacres is perfect. Oh, Donna. She had a reading prompt for gold, and the 50th volume had gold on the cover and in the title. Oh, so that's why you started at 50 in the In Death series? Yeah. J.E. Crowell says Louise Penny can't put books out fast enough. That's true. She's got quite a lot in her series now, and I still haven't read the latest one, A Better Man, that's set in Paris, which is intriguing to me. I need to get on that. Midsummer is the murder capital of the universe. Yeah, Becky, I think you're right. Oh, Oh dear. Berna recently read Nancy Drew, and the inner joke of the book was that trouble follows Nancy. Now that's true. So that one is a massive, massive series, and she's stumbling across bodies all the time. And so yeah, trouble follows Nancy. That's great. Oh dear. All right. Do you guys want to do another reading sprint? Or we can wait if we want to kind of do it on an even time. We could wait for 4 minutes, or we can start one now. This has been really fun chatting, though. I love this. I just don't want to get so caught up in the chatting that I forget to do any reading. Carolyn, oh, the TV adaptation of Still Life. I don't know if I've ever seen that. I know that they did a TV adaptation, but I can't remember if I ever had access to it. The books, I like the books. Anyway, I mean, Inspector Gamache, he's such a great character. I really, really like his character. Yeah. All right. Well, why don't we do a reading sprint in 3 minutes, and we can keep chatting for a few more minutes, and then we'll do another reading sprint. I'm going to keep going with this book because this is so much fun so far. This poor guy is just dropped into a situation that he does not understand, and it is so entertaining. I love that style of book where it just starts, right away. Excuse me. Right away, you've got this person in a situation in an area that they are unfamiliar with, and in a situation where they do not understand what's going on, but they're fairly certain people are lying to them, what's happening, and then there's this tension, and then there's also this urgency because of the danger. I love that, and so I'm going to keep reading in this for the next sprint. I love this little conversation going on about Midsummer Murders, and do you prefer the original Barnaby or the new Barnaby? I think I prefer the original Barnaby. You know what I loved about Midsummer Murders, the original Barnaby, was that in a time when it's really popular to have like the conflicted detective, Barnaby had like this really solid home life. He had a wife that was awesome and totally loved him, and they had a really good relationship, and he had a daughter that he had a really good relationship with. I liked that in the series, that they didn't have to have additional conflict coming from, all kinds of stuff going on in his home life. I really liked that. Ooh, an older Nancy Drew. J.E. Crow. That would be interesting. Like a grown-up Nancy Drew. That would be interesting. Flick Foster. I know, right? Joyce is awesome. And I love that she does all of these like various hobbies, and often will like, come across the bodies because of the hobbies that she's into, and the Cully drama. Yeah, she's awesome. There's nothing wrong with the new Barnaby, of course, but yeah, I think I prefer the original Barnaby. Okay, so how about we do a second reading sprint? Ooh, an elderly Nancy Drew, J.E. Crow. Someone should write that. That would be awesome. I would totally read about an elderly Nancy Drew. I think that would be great. Okay. You made a bingo card for Midsummer? Oh yeah, totally share it because that's awesome. Okay, so if you guys are ready, let's do another reading sprint starting now. Timer is set, 20 minutes. Let's go. Cozy Reads Mystery. Hello, welcome here. I forgot I should. Well, you're welcome to come back after lunch, Donna, but thanks for being here while you can. Say hi to your husband for me. Inking Your Thinking. Hi, nice to see you here. We're just in the middle of our second reading sprint. I'm trying to think if I've read Promise Me by Harlan Coben. I've read quite a lot of Harlan Coben and I really like his books. And I can't remember if I've read Promise Me or not. Death in the Clouds, though, I love it. That is one of my favorite Poirot stories. Death in the Clouds is great. Well, thank you for joining us as you do your bedtime reading. That's awesome. Scott and Becky, thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping by Books in Every Room. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, dear. Okay, there is the timer for our second reading sprint. How did it go? I'm quite enjoying this book. That's very, very entertaining. Yeah, I can't wait to see where this story's going. It's got such a great setup. So, how did it work out for everybody on this last reading sprint? Ooh, Shannon, you're almost halfway through your book. Excellent. That's great. Inking Your Thinking. I am reading Run by Patricia Wentworth. This is from 1938, and it's one of her standalone books. And so, excuse me, so far, really, really good. Berna, 10 pages of the 20-page short story. Excellent. Helen, welcome back. 4% more, J.E. Crow, nice. 24 pages, Luby's Lot. Well done. You read fast. That's good. And you're right. Returning to familiar characters is always really fun. Carolyn, you're really enjoying what is it, Charrington? Is that right? Ooh, there's a pro detective and an amateur with a good dynamic. That's great. Flick Foster, you've reached chapter 4. The establishing stuff has been really good. Good world building. There's that tricky fantasy thing of not being able to remember the names as they are unusual. Yeah. I don't tend to read a lot of fantasy, but I get what you're saying. I have that problem when I read books from Scandinavian countries. I can have a problem because the names are quite unusual for me anyway. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from with that. Donna, 26 pages. You're on fire, Donna. Wow, you read really, really fast. Nice. Robin's done another 7%. That's great. Shannon defaults to character types in fantasy because the names are tricky. Yeah, I get that. Okay, so here's another question for you about books and reading. Do you prefer a physical book, an audio book, or an ebook? There is the question. And even if you use all three of those, which one is your favorite? What is your preference? I would love to know. I am totally a physical book kind of girl. I rarely listen to audio, although I really think that I should listen to more because I like listening to something when I'm working on puzzles. So I really need to get more into audiobooks. But I think it's the pacing that's the issue. If I can speed up the audio in an audiobook, then I might be more tempted to listen to it. And I have a Kindle, but I do 100% prefer physical books. Flick is physical all the way. Yeah. But yeah, Flick also can get into audio. Yeah, for sure. Helen Claire, physical all the way. Yeah, totally. Robin loves reading and all the things. Ebooks, audiobooks, and print books in that order. Interesting. Good. Berna prefers paperback, but reads a lot of ebooks. Yeah, and I can understand that, right? That you're trying to find your ebooks, English books in e-format. I can totally get how that would be easier for you. Inking Your Thinking reads all of them. It's interesting. The Kindle helps you go to sleep. I tried reading from my Kindle the other night when I was in bed and I couldn't do it. I just didn't like it at all. Ooh, audio while you're painting. Yes. Yeah. That's what I like about potentially about audio is that you can do it while you're doing other hobbies for sure. Shannon prefers ebooks. Yeah, it's lighter in your hands, totally, especially when it's a book like this. Okay, Luby's lot, physical books for the daytime, audio when you're crafting, an ebook at bed. Oh, you can make the font large. That's true. I'm not sure what it was. I didn't like reading in bed with my Kindle at all. J.E. Crow usually reads ebooks so that you can read in the dark. Yeah, I get that. That's totally an advantage of an ebook for sure. Carolyn was going to say ebook, but it can be pricey. That's true. Listening to audio is your preference these days. And then being able to follow along with a physical copy is intriguing. I think that's cool. Robin loves reading and all the things. She does about 30 to 35% audiobooks plus Kindle text to speech. Oh. She does diamond painting and puzzles. That's awesome. See, it's very common. I'm looking at the responses here that people do a mixture of all three, and I can totally see that because there's certain situations where one works better over the other for sure. Shelf space is always a consideration, Flick, for sure. Books are so beautiful on their shelves. Yeah, that's true. Audiobooks while walking, Berna. Yeah, that would be fun. Helen likes the feel, the smell, and everything about an audiobook. Or, sorry, about a physical book. 100%. I agree with you there. Yeah, definitely. Carolyn can get through ebooks faster when they're romance. Oh, that's interesting. Berna is also reading this with me, and she also has the physical copy. And yeah, it is a monster of a book. Shannon prefers paperbacks if she's tired because they're less painful if they fall on her face. I have that problem all the time, Shannon. Yeah, I know. And I actually have like Aaron will check what book I'm going to read in bed because to make sure it's not going to hurt me or him if I drop it when I fall asleep, because that's happened before. So if it's too big or if it's a hardback, he will suggest that I find a different book to read. Elizabeth is down to just 2 live shows. It's a big afternoon for live shows. Alexa can read your ebook. Ooh, that is nice. And Donna says ebooks are great for traveling when we could travel, a whole library in your pocket. And that is 100% true. And that's why we ended up getting a Kindle in the first place. But it's funny because even though I have a lot of choices on my Kindle, if I'm traveling, I will still have at least one physical copy of a book with me because I always have the what ifs going on in my head. What if something goes wrong with my Kindle? I need to have something to read. And so I will always have at least one physical book along with my Kindle when I'm traveling. J.E. Crowell, I wonder how many ER injuries are book related. Ooh, that would be interesting. I would watch that show. If someone did a show on like book related injuries that came into the ER, that would be very entertaining. Oh, and Elizabeth dropped her Kindle on her head while dozing off. Yeah, that would hurt. Ouch. Carolyn said, Alexa heard me say her name and said, sorry, I don't know that. Oh, that's hilarious. That is so funny. And Donna, you are right about ebooks with the larger font is a really, really good resource for seniors or for people that have sight difficulties. 100%. Yeah, that's awesome. Book related injuries. Berna accidentally erased her Kindle library while visiting Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly why you also have to have at least one physical book with you, because you never know what's gonna happen. And accidentally erasing your whole Kindle library is, oh, that hurts my heart. Mm. Someone else has also dropped their device on their face while reading in bed. That's so funny. I'm sure that happens to so many more people than we realize. Hey, oh, that is hilarious. Helen Claire. Yes. Oh, she dropped a hardback on my nose when falling asleep. True story. I believe that 100%. I've done it myself so many times. Oh, yeah. Ouch. Oh, my goodness. That's so funny. Okay. So, oh, Berna was able to get them back, but not while she was on vacation. At least you were able to get them back. Oh, my goodness. That is just crazy. Okay, so what do you guys think? Should we do one more reading sprint, or should I ask one more question? I have more questions. So what would you prefer right now? Another reading sprint or another question? For our next reading sprint, I'm going to see about finishing my ebook, or not my ebook, my short story, The Ghost of Fountain Lane. Reading, Flick Foster says reading. Oh, and Carolyn, whatever I like. Inking Your Thinking is in for a sprint. Good. Okay, well, let's do it. Ooh, and I have to show you. I have a little snack here with me for during the sprints. I have some gummy bears, so I'm thinking that it might be gummy bear time for this sprint. Helen Claire, sprint. Donna, sprint. Ooh, she's got to a good bit. Yo, I totally get that. Carolyn, it's my party. Woohoo! It is my party. And it's a great party. Okay, well, I'm going to set the timer 20 minutes starting now. Woohoo! Ooh, waffles for lunch during the last sprint, Carolyn. Nice. Breezy-Ann H. Thanks for joining us on your lunch break. That's awesome. Felix Larios. We are just finishing up a third reading sprint, and then we will have some time to chat. All right. That is the end of that reading sprint. How did it go for everybody? I finished my story in The Ghost of Fountain Lane by Catherine Purkis. Yeah, it was really good. It had a female detective, like she's like a private detective, and she's on holiday in Brighton, but it's a working holiday for her because she loves what she does, and so she's noticed in the newspaper that there's these stories about people seeing a ghost, and she's looking into it because it's very specific. This ghost is dressed in a soldier's uniform, and then she gets a visit from Inspector Clamp of the Brighton Constabulary, who would like her help looking at a case of a stolen check. And yeah, and so the two of them work together. It was really good. Inking Your Thinking, time flies while reading. Yeah, that is totally true. Flick is really getting into the story. Awesome. Another 7%. Wow, Robin, you're just really consistent, aren't you? That's awesome. Berna, you finished your story as well, the Wilkie Collins one. I'm really excited about getting to that one next. 5% read, J.E. Crow, nice. Helen Clare is reading and multitasking, perfect. Shannon, 23 pages, interesting. Ooh, and the story took an interesting turn. I like it. Oh, you weren't loving it so far. Well, nice. It's pulled you back in then. Hey, that's great. Donna, ooh, Luby's Lot, another 24 pages. Nice. Nice. I like it. Breezy Ann H. Oh, good. You got a chance to read while you were eating lunch? It's hard too, though. Like, were you reading on an ebook, which could be sort of hands-free, or was it a physical book, which is harder to do when you're eating your lunch? It's tricky. This stuff is all very tricky. Okay, so Donna's dogs decided they needed to play during the reading sprint. Fair enough, Donna. You got to play with your dogs. All right, so here's another question for you. We've talked about series or standalones. We've talked about physical audio or ebook. So here is another question. Do you prefer to own books or borrow books? And so this can be true of physical books or audiobooks or even ebooks. Do you tend to buy the books that you read, and that can be new or from a thrift store or used or whatever, or do you prefer to borrow books, say from the library or something like that? That's my question. Borrow or own? And I am not entirely sure what I would say about that, because I own a lot of books, and a lot of them I haven't read yet, although I am also a big rereader. So definitely I own, although I rarely buy a book at full price, new at full price. I tend to find my books at used bookstores and thrift stores. But I also make very good use of my library. And so I'm always like between reading the books that I own and the books that I borrow from the library. Luby's Lot, both. Yeah, you own a lot and you also borrow a lot. Yeah, that's 100%. That's me. Helen, own. Oh, that's good. And then Helen gives it to charity afterwards if she didn't love the book. Yeah, that's true. I have a little free library. And so if it's a book that I own and I didn't love it and I know I'm not going to reread it, then I will put it out in our little free library for sure. Shannon says that's a tough question. All right, well, we'll let you think about it while I look at some more answers. Flick Foster prefers to own, although I make strong use of my library. Yeah, and the thing is, I get books from the library that I may not ever find at thrift stores, because that's primarily where I get my books from that I own. And I can also read new books through the library. The advantage of owning the books is that I have them and I can read them whenever I get the urge. So that's why I do that too. Robin loves reading and all the things. 80% of my print and digital books are ARCs, 19 are library, and 1% is Audible. Yeah, well, Robin, when you review as much as you do, that makes complete sense. Marilyn, welcome here. Nittenmar Reads. That's a good name. She owns her books too. Then you can trade them in at the local used bookstore. Yeah, that's nice when you can do that. For sure, if you can trade them in for store credit or whatever. Donna, own mostly. Oh, your local library isn't the best. That's too bad. That's too bad. Luby's Lot. Library is winning so far this year. Yeah. Fresh News 247, Flowers in the Attic was the last book you got from the library. Donna does use Kindle Unlimited quite a bit. So, and that counts as borrowing. Yeah, for sure. Oh, Flick Foster, you have a book club and you swap books between you. That is great. And I'm in a book club too, and we've done that too, right? Where people will bring a few books and they're like, I'm done with these, have these. But I haven't met with my book club for like a year almost. We've been meeting by Zoom, so we haven't been able to do that. I missed that. That was actually a really fun part of book club. J.E. Crow, for some reason I read the books I borrow and collect without reading the books I own. I have no idea why. Book because it has to go back to the library. The book that I own is on my shelves and I can read it whenever I want. So the library book will always win out in the end. Breezy-Ann H. She likes both. She borrows from the library and also purchases digital copies. Yeah, and that's true. I don't very often buy a physical book unless it's really, really cheap that I've never read before. I'll buy the physical copy if it's a book that I've read, and I know that I love it and that I'll want to read it again for sure. Elizabeth from Lizzie Faye loves books. Yeah, it says I would own less if libraries kept more. And that's totally true, right? You just never know when your library is going to weed out books. And so I love that the library is there and I make good use of the library. But if you're in like if you're reading a series, you can't always be guaranteed that the library is going to have the book that you need from your series. That is totally true. Inking your thinking, both. I love being surrounded by books. I only buy the ones I'm sure I love, only take a risk secondhand. Yeah, that's me 100%. Yeah, exactly. Berna, I am not a keeper of books and I borrow most of my ebooks and audio books in my apps. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's the advantage of ebooks and audiobooks, right? Is that if you don't have a lot of space or that you don't want to have a lot of physical books, you can have so many, even just borrowing them with ebooks and audiobooks for sure. Shannon says, I think I end up reading more from the library, Hoopla and Scribd than my own owned books. I agree that my own books have less pressure to read them on any timeline. Yeah, that's totally what happens. Shannon, again, I'm not sure what I do is what I prefer. What? I might have to get more intentional. Yes. Yeah. Sorry if I skipped somebody's answer. I there's a lot of comments coming through and I sometimes I might accidentally miss something, so that's totally unintentional. Robin loves reading says I get my library books via Hoopla and Overdrive. Um, yeah, I love that those are resources that are available to us 100%. Carolyn prefers audio and ebook to get from the library, and physical books she prefers to own. Yeah. Oh, Beach Bum Bookworm, welcome here. Nice to have you. Carolyn from Carolyn's Reading Ramblings bought a book because she on audio because she borrowed it so many times. Excellent, very good. But I mean, who wouldn't want to listen to anything narrated by Richard Armitage? I mean, what a great voice, hey? Yeah, that is that would be a great narrator to listen to for sure. Shannon says it's great that we have so many options. Yeah, it is. And there are nowadays there are so many options of where we can get books from in whatever format that it's great. Helen Clare, each to their own, but I couldn't function without seeing my books on the shelves every day. They give me such comfort and pleasure. Oh, that is so true, Helen. There is just something about seeing your books. I love that. And part of me wondered if I was weird about that. So I'm glad to hear that someone else feels the same. That I honestly, I love being surrounded by books. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Fresh News 247, your library makes you pay to take out books? That's weird. After 6 months, they're free. Does anybody else have a library system where they make you pay for certain books, for new books? That is weird. Yeah. Berna, Richard Armitage is very handsome as well. Well, that's true. Who can deny that? Um, Carolyn's Reading Ramblings. His narrations of Georgette Heyer are amazing. Yeah, I imagine that would be good. Carolyn, books are your comfort too. Yeah. Okay, so Fresh News 247 made a comment about books and young kids. So here's a funny story for you. He said that they said that they had to put their books away when their kids started walking. Now, a number of years ago, I had a home daycare for a while, and Aaron and I have always had lots of books, and so we actually had in that house a bookcase in the hallway, not that far from actually from the bathroom. And so when I had my home daycare, I at one point I had a 6-month-old and a 14-month-old baby, as well as some preschoolers, and so they were just so active, the two of them, that there were times when, like, if I needed to use the bathroom, sometimes the easiest thing, I would like try to put them in a playpen or whatever, but sometimes they were really fussy, and so I would run into the bathroom, to go as fast as I could. And one time they tried to follow me, and they were outside the door. And when I came out, and I was like in the bathroom for what, like a minute, right? I came out, and they had pulled all the books off that bookshelf because they were waiting for me. And all the books were just strewn across the hallway floor. And so, yeah, I totally get that. After that, I would start to bring them in with me, and I would put them in the bathtub. They could play in the bathtub. So there you go. That's probably more information than you ever wanted to know. Yes, Shannon. Yeah, I mean, I've had to pay late fees for sure, but not pay for a book. Now there's some places where you have to pay for a library card if you're outside of the area. I've heard of that for sure. Beach bum bookworm. If I paid for a book, I'm keeping it. I totally get that though. I mean, yeah, I understand that. Yeah, paying for a library book. Helen's 3 boys are older, so she doesn't need to worry about that. Yeah. The things kids can do in a second. 100%. It is amazing how much trouble they can get into in a really short amount of time. All right. So, what do you guys think? Should we do another reading sprint? Are you in? This would be reading sprint number 4. We could do this in a couple minutes here. Do another 20-minute reading sprint if you guys are ready. I'm totally in. I am. I think for this time, I'm going to read The Mystery of Mrs. Christie by Marie Benedict. I just barely started this one. I'm on page 6. I'm really interested to see what happens in this book. This is addressing what may have happened in those 11 days that Agatha Christie went missing in 1926. It is a mystery. It's fascinating, and I love reading about different people's ideas about what may have happened in those 11 days. And it is such a mystery because she never talked about it. She just never talked about it afterwards, about what happened during those 11 days. And so, yeah, there are just so many questions about what went on. Great. You guys are all in for another reading sprint. Louise Lot, you finished yesterday. It was good. Oh, that's good. One thing that I'm concerned about is I love Agatha Christie so much that I'm worried about reading a portrayal of her that that I'm not going to like. Do you know what I mean? Helen Claire, you've read this, right? Or you are reading this. That's my one worry about this, is that it's going to present a picture of Agatha Christie that I don't like, or that I disagree with, or whatever. Just because I love her books so much. Okay. Let's see. Oh, J.E. Crowd's going to go make some dinner. Well, thanks for being here. And if you want to come see if we're still here after dinner, that would be great. Inking Your Thinking, the Christie story sounds fascinating. Yeah, I'm just barely into it, so we'll see what she has to say. Carolyn's Reading Ramblings is up for another sprint. Ooh, Berna's in a middle grade book. Sweet. She's in the middle of a middle grade. Excellent. Helen Claire, Agatha Christie needed some time alone. I can relate to that. I can too. And the interesting thing is that it doesn't actually surprise me all that much that she just needed to get away for a while. That doesn't surprise me at all. Her mother had died and she was really close to her mother, and then her husband asked for a divorce because he confessed that he had been having an affair. Like, it was a rough time for her, and if she just needed to get away, I 100% understand that. What I don't understand, and what I think what is the mystery, is like, why was her car left where it was, and why did she sign into the hotel where she stayed under the name of her husband's girlfriend? Like, was she like kind of just sticking it to him a little bit with that? I'm not sure. So I mean, it is interesting. There are some questions, and I'm not actually surprised either that she never said what happened, because Agatha Christie was an intensely personal and private person. Even when there was a time when she was the president of the Detection Club in London, which was a club for mystery writers. And she was asked to be the president, and she only agreed if she didn't have to do public speaking. So there was somebody else. Oh, who was it now? Oh, I forget the name. Another guy, another mystery writer guy in the Detection Club, agreed to do to be co-president with her, and he did the public speaking, and she did kind of whatever other jobs there were for the president, because she was a really very private person. All right, so let me just catch up here on a few of these comments. That's why I don't dare read her biography. Oh yeah, interesting. Luby's Lot, it didn't get 5 stars. She did. Oh, you did have some issues. Interesting. Helen Claire, you haven't read this one? No. I haven't read any of the Flowers in the Attic stories. A podcast recommendation all about Agatha. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I'll have to look that up. Flick, that's intriguing. Marilyn. Oh, the Dustin Hoffman and Vanessa Redgrave movie called Agatha. I have that book, and I don't know if it was a book first and they made it into a movie, or if the book came after the movie, but I'm pretty sure I've seen that as well, but it would have been years and years ago. Yeah, I have never seen Doctor Who, but I did hear that there is an episode with Agatha Christie, and I think it was about her disappearance. I think that's right. Carolyn thinks that maybe she blocked some stuff out in her mind. Could very well have happened. She was under an incredible amount of stress. Yeah. Robin is reading some fiction books featuring Charles Dickens. Oh, that's interesting. And they portray him. You don't like how they portray him as he grew older? Yeah, that's what's interesting actually about fiction books that have real historical figures as characters. It's, because obviously we didn't know these people, and so how to portray them is really up to the author. That's true. Helen Claire, I can't imagine a world without all her work. No kidding, because that was 1926. Just look at everything that was written after that. Oh yeah, totally, 100%. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm so far behind here. How about let's start a reading sprint, and I'll catch up on some of these comments. What do you guys think? Ooh, Berna has a Turkish detective book related to Agatha's disappearance. That sounds awesome, Berna. I can't wait to hear what you think about that when you've read it. Sweet. Okay. Leo is reading a cozy mystery audiobook. Okay. So let's do it. Let's do another reading sprint. So I'll set the timer for 20 minutes and we will start now. Twin Peaks. I've never seen that show or read any of the books. All right, there is the timer for the end of that reading sprint. I got 22 pages in. I'm intrigued. So it's a non-linear timeline, and we go so far. We're going back and forth between 1912, when Agatha first meets Archie, who she ends up marrying, and the first day after her disappearance, and that's told in the present tense from Archie's perspective, which is interesting. So yeah, so far so good. I'm intrigued to see where this is going to go for sure. Helen or Susan Hatcher, hi everyone. Hi, nice to have you here, Susan. Robin, another 7%. Nice. So you're now at 52% of your book. Well done. That's awesome. Jackie Lou's book queue. Yay, I'm glad that you're here. And that's a great channel name. I like that. Welcome here. So we've just finished our 4th reading sprint, and I'm sure everybody is like frantically trying to finish their paragraph or even their page. And I totally get that. Like, if I'm really into a book, I don't want to stop for something silly like a timer going off. That's for sure. Donna, another 23 pages read. Nice. Very, very good. Helen, 2 more chapters. Oh, Murder on the Orient Express. That's such a good one. I love that. And I agree with what you said earlier. I love rereading Agatha Christie and like looking for the clues that I missed the first time I read it, and watching how she constructs her story, because she is so good at that. She is so good at the construction of a mystery. She can be like so tightly plotted, and her clues can be so subtle. Yeah, I love rereading her books for those reasons, for sure. Luby's Lot, you've now read 30% of your book. That's awesome. Really, really good. Okay, so I have another question for you as more of you start chiming in. Berna, 17 pages in your middle grade book, The Red Shoe. That's a historical fiction side plot of mystery. Nice. What time period? If it's historical, what time period is that, Berna? You may be shocked to hear that I actually read a middle grade book this week. I'm going to be talking about it in my wrap-up video, but I had gotten it for another one of the videos that I was doing, and it just looked so cute. I just had to read it, and of course, it only took like half an hour or something. So it was a young middle grade. I mean, I don't even really know what the ages are for middle grade, but it was a really short book. 1950s Australia. Ooh, that's intriguing. That sounds really good. Okay, so this is a question about, if you do buy books, do you prefer to buy used books or new books? I thought that that's a good question, because I mean, I would love to be able to buy new books all the time, but of course that can be quite expensive. But I absolutely adore book hunting at used bookstores and at thrift stores. There's just something about not knowing what you're going to find. And I feel like if you're looking for new books, there's less of a, there's less out there of what could be available, and you kind of know what's around for new books. But there are hundreds and hundreds of years of possibilities of what books you might find in a thrift store or in a used bookstore. So that is definitely my preference. So here's a great example. I have a few series that I've been trying to collect to own, so that I have the series and I can reread it. And one is the Elizabethan series by Karen Harper. She wrote a series of historical mysteries set in the Elizabethan time, and Elizabeth I is actually a character in the books. And there's 10 maybe in the series. Like, it's one of those with like the sweet spot for me of a great size of a series. And I had all of the books in that series except for one. and I had not been able to find that book at all anywhere. And there's comments coming in that I need to read, but I'll get to that in a second. But I think that I've been looking for this one book in that series for probably like 10 years. And I found it the other day. I was at a Value Village browsing the books they had, and there it was sitting on the shelf. And I actually squealed out loud when I saw it, because I'd been looking for it for so long. But that's the beauty of the used bookstore, of the thrift stores, because you just don't know what you're going to find new books, new releases, or books that are in just really, really good condition at charity shops. It's totally true. I've found books myself, and I've brought them home, and I've shown my husband, and I've like, this book looks like it's never been read, which is entirely possible. Maybe people are gifted a book that they're just not interested in, and so they pass it along to the charity shop. So yeah, that's another great thing is finding new books, but at a used bookstore or charity shop. Yeah, totally. Jackie Lou's Book Queue says, she prefers used books. Sometimes there are gems in them with notes by the reader decades in the past. That is totally true. I love finding things in used books. Yeah, definitely. Carolyn's Reading Ramblings prefers new books. Why do you hate to say that? You are allowed your opinion, Carolyn, because sometimes the condition of the used books isn't good. Yeah, you know what? Some used books are rough. And some of them, even if they're in good condition, they smell. So my husband found for me a set of books that were, I forget what they were called, but they were like a compilation of articles and stuff about mysteries. And we were so excited to find them, and he brought them home for me, but they stunk. And like, I don't know, like, I think it was like perfume or something of the previous owner, but it was completely embedded. Like, we left them outside, we left them in a container with baking soda, and we just could not get the smell to go away. And we finally just had to recycle them because, yeah, it was such a strong smell. Helen Claire loves new books and old books. Yeah. And I mean, I've been into, our stores are open here, but you have to wear a mask and social distance and all of that. So I don't do as much browsing. Like, I love to spend a long time browsing around a store, and I don't do that anymore. I kind of like do a quick glance of the shelves, and so that I'm in and out. But yeah, I can't wait for the day when things open up and we can browse again. It's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, Berna prefers used books. Yeah. And again, those of us who love used books, 2020 was a rough year for that. That is totally true, for sure. Like, I'm so grateful that we live in the world that we do, where those kind of things are possible. Inking Your Thinking. I'm like a kid in a candy store and a used bookstore. I love the sense of adventure. Oh my goodness. I think you and I need to do some book hunting together, because we are 100% the same. It's totally an adventure, and I love it. I love it so much. Luby's Lot and a lot of other older books are only available used. True. I get a load of Gothic romances from the 70s with the most fabulous covers. Oh, that sounds awesome. I love Gothic romances from like the 50s, 60s, 70s. Ooh, that's great. And they do have the best covers. So good. Helen Claire, you are right. So right about never knowing what you will find in a used bookshop. So much fun. Yeah, Sharon Ryder. I do love shopping for used books. It's so much fun. The adventure of it is so much fun, especially once I found somewhere with good prices. Okay, so all of you who are on this call right now, we all need to go book shopping together. Because I think we are kindred spirits. Donna, one thing, right? When you buy it new, then you're sure to get a book, especially if you're collecting a series. I mean, that's what happened to me, and why it took me 10 years to find that one book from the series. Carolyn, if I get a new book and I'm the one who makes it well loved while reading it, then I love it. But then if I get a used book that is well loved, yeah. I understand what you're saying there, Carolyn. Helen, yeah, you don't want books that smell unpleasant. That is really off-putting. And I have a lot of allergies related to scents. So that doesn't work for me. I can't do it. Carolyn's reading ramblings. I completely get that, Janelle. I got a copy of Terry Pratchett's Nation from the used bookstore, and I think whoever owned it before smoked weed because it smelled so strongly of that substance. Berna, it's past midnight in Turkey, so I'll have to say goodbye to all my friends. Oh, well, thank you for being here, Berna. It was really fun reading with you and hanging out with you. Yeah, have a great weekend. Jackie Lou's book queue. That would be so fun. Woohoo! Inking Your Thinking. Oh yeah, it would be. We're going to have to figure out a way where we can go book shopping together, everybody. Flick Foster, off to bed now, everyone. Thanks for reading with me. This was really lovely. Oh, well, thank you for hanging out with us. Have a great weekend. And next week, I should just say that as people are starting to head off, next weekend, next Saturday, I'm going to do another live reading sprint, 7 p.m., but it will be 7 p.m. Mountain Time instead of 7 p.m. Central, because here in Saskatchewan, we don't follow the time change. So for part of the year, we're in the Central Time Zone, and for the other part of the year, we're in the Mountain Time Zone. So by next Saturday, it'll be Mountain. So it'll be 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Okay, so what do you guys think? Should we do another reading sprint before we all say goodbye? Sharon, yeah, it's daylight savings this weekend for sure. Sunday, right? I think it's Sunday. I'd almost forgotten to. I mean, we don't observe daylight saving, but because it affects what time zone we're in, we have to know when it when it happens. All right, so if you guys are in, I think we should do one more reading sprint. Carolyn, you're up for another one. Luby's Lot, you're off to bed. Thanks for hanging out with us, and I hope you have a really good weekend. Helen Claire, yes, more reading. Excellent. I love it. I'm all done my gummy bears, though. I ate them all in that last reading sprint, so I'm just going to have to read with no snacks this time. Robin loves reading and all the things. You're in. Excellent. Good. Jackie Lou's book queue. Sounds good. Inking Your Thinking. Let's do one more. All right. I am setting the timer. 20 minutes starts now. I know we're supposed to be doing a reading sprint, but I just thought of this. Ooh, Inking Your Thinking is switching to Death in the Clouds. Nice. Michelle, hi. Welcome here. Michelle B, hey there. Thanks for joining me. We're just starting another reading sprint, and I just wanted to comment. The writer of this has obviously done her research about surrounding the disappearance of Agatha Christie. And I do think it's interesting. And I think that Agatha Christie herself would have been shocked by the response to her disappearance, because the deputy chief constable of the county led the search for her. And that is a pretty high ranking police officer to be put in charge of the search. And from what I remember, there was like 5,000 police officers and volunteers who looked for her, who joined the search. And Dorothy L. Sayers joined in searching for her, and a few other big people. Like, I think she would have been really shocked to discover that her disappearance caused such a furor, because she never really considered herself a writer. And I think her fame would have been really surprising to her. She always just said that she was a wife and a mother, and that she did kind of her writing on the side. So yeah, I like to know that such such a huge upswell of interest in her disappearance would have been really surprising. Michelle, no, yeah, it took them 11 days until before someone discovered her. Yeah. Yes, Carolyn. And I was trying to remember that. I thought Arthur Conan Doyle had some kind of a connection too. He had someone hold a seance to try, try and find her. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm just totally babbling away while you're trying to read. So I will be quiet now. All right, there is the timer. That is it. 20 minutes goes by so fast. All right, how did it go for everybody? I am definitely going to keep reading this one. I am into it. It's so interesting. Yeah. So how did it go for everybody else? And I have one more question if you can handle more questions from me. Ooh, Carolyn had a twist. Nice. I like a good twist. Helen Claire, another chapter done. Excellent. You're reading Murder on the Orient Express, right? Yeah, that's good. So since we've just been reading, I thought this was a good question to end on. When you are reading a book, Michelle is reading the O. I'm not familiar with that one. When you are reading a book, wherever you are on the page and shutting the book, do you prefer to go to the end of a page? Do you prefer to read to the end of a chapter? Or do you have a page count in mind? Like, do you have to get to an even number, for example, on your pages when you're reading? Like, you have to get to page 50 or, 48, but 47 wouldn't work for you. What kind of a reader are you? I like to at least finish a paragraph. And if I have to get up, then I close the book. But if, I prefer to get at least to the bottom of a page if possible. Michelle finished another chapter. Jackie Lou's book queue just about done. Ooh, with the 5 red herrings. Oh, that's good. I haven't read that one chapter, if she can. Inking Your Thinking. I can't stop in the middle of a paragraph and often try to finish the chapter. Yeah. I've heard someone told me, I wish I could remember who it was, said that if they had to stop reading for whatever reason, they were more than happy to just stop wherever they were, even if it was the middle of a sentence. And I was like, well, I would at least finish the sentence if it was me. Michelle B., you're fine. The end of the page. Yeah. Donna, I try to finish at the end of a chapter. Carolyn, for a physical book, I like to get to a natural breaking point, like the end of a chapter. Or if I can't, then I like to get to a chapter break. Jackie Lou's book queue, I prefer the end of a chapter, but can stop at the end of a page. Yeah. It's funny. Some people are really particular. Other people just try to end in kind of a natural spot. And then I wish I could remember who that was that told me that they were more than happy to stop even in the middle of a sentence, which is just crazy. All right. Well, you lovely bookish friends of mine, Carolyn's Reading Ramblings. For ebooks, I just get to the end of a Kindle page unless that is in the middle of a sentence. For audio, has to be the end of a chapter, or I have to start the chapter over. Michelle Neal, I'm sorry, Janelle, I'm reading The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. Oh, I have heard that. That sounds interesting. And Michelle likes to finish a chapter as well. Well, it has been so much fun spending my Saturday afternoon with you. I've been loving doing these reading sprints. So if you can, join me next Saturday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time, and we will do this again. I would love to hear about what you have been reading, and I will try and come up with some more interesting conversation starters for that. Inking Your Thinking, thanks for hosting this bookish party. Really enjoyed it. Off to bed. Have a great weekend. And yeah, this has been super, super fun. Michelle Neal, it's a date. Excellent. I'm so glad. And so, yeah, everybody have a great rest of your weekend. Read lots of good books. Carolyn's Reading Ramblings. This has been great. Thank you so much, Janelle. You are so sweet to organize and host and give us these questions. Well, you are very welcome. I am more than happy to do it. You are very welcome, everybody who is saying thank you. Oh, yes. 7 p.m. one weekend and then 1 p.m. the next weekend, because hopefully that works better for everywhere. Ooh, Michelle's going to bring the coffee. Is that what? Hopefully I got that right. Michelle's going to bring the coffee next week. That's great. Carolyn, if she can figure out the time change. Oh yes, so everybody don't forget the daylight savings time if you're in an area that follows that. Helen Claire, you're very welcome. It's 10 p.m. in the UK. Well, there you go. So continue your reading. I'm going to continue my reading as well. And you're very welcome, Michelle. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.